Good morning, good afternoon, evening, good night, wherever you are around the world. Welcome to episode 6 of the Erin Molan Show. Probably the biggest show we are bringing you so far. It is jam-packed. Let me give you a little preview of what is to come over the next maybe hour or so. So you're in for a treat before I bring you the headlines. Then we get stuck into our panel, then a one-on-one conversation, which you will love. So Russia v. Ukraine. Two very fired up people for a panel on that coming up in just a few minutes' time. Sergei, former chief advisor to Vladimir Putin, knows the Russian president almost better than anyone else. Yuri Sak, former Ukrainian defense advisor, still heavily involved on the front line from the Ukrainian side. Both men so passionate, it's fair to say there's no love lost. In fact, it would be fairer to say, and we're an honest show here, they despise each other. They don't hold back. This is a fired up debate on the issues at hand, the reason behind the invasion, and whether or not peace is possible. My second interview for this show is with a woman called Ayelet, who is someone who encompasses courage, embodies care almost like I've never seen before. I spoke at an event called WIZO, and they brought her to Australia to talk about her nephew, Ariel. He was 12 years old on October 7, 12, went for a run. His entire family slaughtered by Hamas. His mum, his dad, his two sisters, and his grandpa. His entire world erased in a moment. His entire existence just completely thrown upside down. She adopted him, and his story is one of utter resilience. I got to meet him as well, and look, they're keeping him out of the public eye, which I think is a really smart move, but I got to spend some time with him at a friend Kelly's house who essentially helped bring them to Australia. He's learning how to surf, doing all this really fun, amazing stuff, just being a kid. And I tell you what, he's funny, he is caring with my daughter. It was amazing. You know, he's now 14. They don't generally have a lot of time for 7 and 8-year-olds, but Kelly's got 2 little girls as well, and his patience with them and how kind he is, he's my new hero. He's amazing. So you've got to hang around and listen to some of his story, because I tell you what, perspective is something that we all struggle with day to day. You won't after listening and watching this interview. Okay, let's get stuck into the headlines now before I bring you those 2 conversations. Vladimir Putin is yet to comment publicly on meeting with Zelensky himself. Now, the White House says that he is willing to do so, but we've got nothing out of the Kremlin as yet. Russia continued their attacks on Ukraine over the period of meetings over the past week or so. Donald Trump has also gone on Fox News in the US and ruled out completely putting US troops on the ground. That is, of course, something that is being speculated as part of this security agreement that Ukraine require, but that cannot be NATO. So we'll watch with interest how that develops. Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, has launched a scathing attack on the Australian Prime Minister. He said on a social media post, and I quote, "History will remember Albanese for what he is, a weak politician who betrayed Israel and abandoned Australia's Jews." He also wrote the Prime Minister a letter. He's also written other world leaders letters as well. Now, preparations for Gaza City operation are progressing. Israel insists on comprehensive hostage deal. This is in response to what was reported yesterday, and we reported on this show, regarding Hamas apparently agreeing to, I think, release 10 living hostages for 150 terrorists serving life sentences and a 60-day ceasefire. But I think Israel are beyond that at this stage in terms of what they're willing to do. I think it's basically an all or nothing at the moment, and President Trump seems to be of that belief as well. China and India, this is a fascinating issue on the world stage, 2 massive superpowers. And the Chinese foreign minister has just spoken to the Indian Prime Minister, and he's also written a piece in the Global Times, which is essentially the Chinese Communist Party's mouthpiece, saying that China and India should regard each other as partners rather than rivals or threats. And you might remember in 2020 their relations plummeted, and that was over clashes on the border. People were killed. It was pretty intense. But it's fascinating because off the back of Trump putting tariffs on India for buying Russian oil, and this issue of India almost trying to remain just, no, we're just working well with everyone, but wanting to be allies of the US, but kind of jumping into bed with Russia, with the Chinese Communist Party. It's fascinating watching all of these dynamics play out, and they all matter greatly, not just for the US, but for Australia, for Europe, for basically everyone in the world. The closer that superpowers get with each other, and the further away they get from, I guess, democracies and freedoms and things that we value, the more worried we should be. Okay, before we get into our panel, I wanted to show you a clip that, well, it made me laugh, to be entirely honest with you. We spoke a couple of days ago about Donald Trump's crackdown on crime in Washington, and yesterday I told you about a headline that was essentially the protests against the crackdown on crime. And there's a video that's just come out of a woman who has taken it upon herself to protest this crackdown on crime. Have a listen to the way in which she approaches this absolutely bizarre protest.
Stay away from homeless people! You fascist punks! Get the fuck out!
Now, to save myself some time, I filmed this when I was watching it last night. And as I was filming it, because I wanted to send it to my editor to include in this show, my daughter asked, what the hell is going on? And I feel like the explanation I gave her is as good as it's going to get. And it means that people watching who might agree with her have a chance of understanding. So have a listen to now the way I explained it to my 7-year-old.
Why is she doing that?
Because she's a nutcase.
Why?
Because she's crazy. She's one of those crazy people who,
Can she speak?
well, she can, but she's just going crazy. She doesn't want police to help everyone in the street.
I mean, point out what part of anything I said there is wrong. Okay, now let's get stuck into the first big feature that we've got on the show today, and this is Russia v Ukraine like you haven't seen it before. Sergei up against Yuri. Please enjoy. Please take out of it what you will. There's obviously a lot of passion involved. There are people dying. These two men appear to care deeply about their own people, but you be the judge of that. I think a lot is hard to come to terms with in your mind if you were to truly care about your people, but please enjoy. I want to start by thanking you both so very much for giving me your time. I really, really appreciate it. I'd like to start with a reaction to what has been a massive week, probably one of the biggest weeks and the closest we may have been to peace since the war began. Sergei, I'll start with you. Your reaction to Putin meeting with Trump, and then your reaction to Zelensky meeting with Trump with other European leaders.
Let me first of all to say about general reaction in Russia. Most of the people have, feeling of hopes that this war will be stopped, because this regarded as a great tragedy. You may know that we regard this as civil war, because for us, Ukraine is part of the Russia for sure. During 1,000 years, and Kiev, first Russian capital during 3 centuries years. And Ukraine is Russians for us. So people hope that this negotiation can stop. Same time, most of the public does not believe that it will happen, because they see very too tough position of Western countries, which even don't want to discuss the main Russian concern. You may know that one of the main formula of Western countries that Russia has an invasion which had been not provoked and which had no reason. But it's stupidity. How it's possible to start war with no reason? Of course, the reason exists. The main reason of this war that Western countries want to build anti-Russian on the territory of Ukraine, and to have endless enemies between Russia and Ukraine. Is Western goal, and Western countries want to make this, and Russia started this war not allow this to happen. And now we can see no compromise over these issues. That's why most of the public, they have hopes, but not optimistic about this. Elite divided. Pro-Western elite, they want Putin to have compromise and close eyes on the condition of compromise. And anti-Western part of elite and public, they're very suspicious that Putin could do it under the pressure of pro-Western part of Russian elite. So this is situation inside the Russian society. As to me, I think that this negotiation still continue offshore for personally Donald Trump. And I think that, again, both, if you say Putin and Zelensky, they have absolutely different understanding. For Zelensky, most important, personal security. He wants to, for personal security, he wants to stay as president of Ukraine and to have the guard from the governmental institutions. And for this, he wants to continue military order in the country, and so he doesn't want a real peace.
Okay,
And
Sergey, I'm gonna. My apologies. I just want to make sure I give Yuri some time to respond, and then I'll let you say many other things. I just don't want you to say too much, so we can't respond to all that you're saying. I would start by saying, just because you believe something to be true, that this is a civil war, does not make it true. And regarding a reason to invade, I'll pass it over to you, Yuri. How would you respond to what's just been said?
Well, I think there will come a time. Pardon? Look, there's nothing I can say, to be honest, because nothing changes. Russian propaganda, never changes. And I think there will come a day when the best universities, Stanford, Harvard, Oxford, Cambridge, the medical students will be writing PhDs trying to understand how the Russian brain works, because after 3 years of spreading the same falsities and without blinking an eye, and 3 years after everybody's laughing at it, so nobody's taking it seriously. I don't think even Russian people actually take it seriously. So to sit here now and listen to all this, I mean, you know, before at the beginning of the large-scale invasion, this would trigger a very enraged response from me. Now it just makes me want to laugh, because it's like, come on, people, come on, Russian propaganda, come up with something better. Nobody buys into what you're saying. Nobody buys into the same people. Are you crazy, the same people? Last night you threw 270 drones at Ukraine and 10 ballistic missiles. I mean, that's what you do with the same people? That's how you treat your brothers and sisters? Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind, to be honest, to even continue to say that we are the same people? And if you look at us, there is an ocean of difference. I think Ukraine is nearer and closer with Australians than it is with Russians, especially now. Because even after, and I want to just stress one little important fact. Now, Kharkiv, take Kharkiv. It was the target of an attack yesterday. People were killed. Now, Kharkiv used to be a predominantly Russian-speaking city. Kharkiv used to be the city in Ukraine before the large-scale invasion, probably was regarded as the kind of pro-Russian city. Not anymore, because people have seen so much destruction, death, and lies that, you know, they see a Russian, they have a vomiting sort of instinct. So there's nothing I can comment. I am happy about the meeting yesterday in Washington, D.C., because what we actually saw, we saw the U.S. engaged in the peace process. We saw the U.S. and the European countries on the same page when it comes to the importance of ending the hostilities. What we saw yesterday, we saw like-minded leaders of civilized nations sitting at the same table and discussing options as to how to end the war, discussing what will be the security guarantees that Ukraine will receive, discussing what will be the diplomatic means of reinstating Ukraine's territorial integrity. Because look, everybody's realistic. We understand that, the front line is frozen now. I mean, yesterday, we've had research institutes analyze. Now, think about this. Russians have lost more than 1 million killed and wounded since 2022. Guess how much of Ukraine's territory they have gained in that same period, in 3 years. They paid more than 1 million lost lives and wounded for 1% of Ukraine's territory. Now,
So Sergey, let me come to you on that point straight off what Yuri has just said. That cannot be considered a win when you weigh up lives of your people, which your president should care deeply about, with the gains. Even if you believe that this is a just war, how can you justify 1 million killed and injured for so little gain?
First of all, can I not to listen this crazy guy? It's not serious to talk with such a kind of people. I'm sorry. I'm very well known, recognized international expert. I don't want to say to speak with those crazy guy.
He's a very respected commentator in this space and is on the front line.
He mentioned about that medicine should study how brain of Russians, but exactly Nazism. He's Nazist. It's exactly Nazis if he believes that Russians biologically differ from another people. It's first. Secondly, about people who killed. We know that something about, according to different estimations, different figures, but something about 15,000 civilians in Ukraine have been killed during this 3.5-year war. But same time, in sector Gaza, according to also different estimations, something about 70,000 civilians have been killed. And the population of Ukraine, something they regard as 30 million, the population of Gaza, 2 million.
I think the situation in Gaza is a very different situation.
Proportion of the kill Ukrainians.
You're quoting Hamas numbers as well, by the way.
Let me finish. This is very important. I want to say that proportion of civilian Ukrainians who have been killed during the war, if we also take that period of war, something about 300 less than proportion of the killed Palestinians. It's exactly the shows effect. Because for us, their brothers, Putin want to save lives of civilian Ukrainians as much as possible.
The war in Gaza is a very different prospect. There are currently hostages taken. It was a provoked attack, and you're also quoting Gazan Health Ministry numbers, which are Hamas. But that aside, Sergey, that aside, that is
comparison of the civil life losses. It's very simple. It's the war, so it's happening.
But is it worth it? Why are you at war?
Killed civilians in Ukraine 300 less than proportion is of Palestinians.
I don't understand the point you're trying to make, Yuri.
Yes.
Well, what can I say? I mean,
we
are right now focused. Ukraine is now
focused.
Ukraine is now focused on finding a way to a lasting and enduring peace. We understand that this peace process is a very complicated mechanism with a lot of moving parts. We don't trust Russians, and we have seen how they have lied in the past. They have failed to deliver on their commitments. We understand, because we have proof of that. Like I said, we have bombardments of the Ukrainian cities, which continue despite the meetings in Alaska, despite the meetings in, Washington. So essentially, we are focused on building up our own defense industry. And just yesterday, we have demonstrated, we have successfully tested a new long-range missile, which is capable of reaching targets 3,000 miles away from the launch site. And that, of course, is one of the cards that we have up our sleeve. And we are using the existing long-range capabilities to further destroy Russian war machinery. We are targeting their, drone assembly plants. We are targeting their oil refineries, their other facilities. But mind you, we never target civilians.
Sergey, you know Vladimir Putin very well. What would it take to end this for him? You talk about reasons for war. What is his motivation to continue fighting a war that is failing? The war is failing. You have to admit that Russia is failing in this war. I'm not saying Ukraine's winning, but you are failing.
No, the war is not failing. Your special military operation, which has target to take in control of Ukraine and formation of friendly to Russia government 3 years ago failed. But then it was new massive war started, and now this war not failed. It's going not ideal way, but nevertheless, Russian army is going forward, and military specialists, experts saying that the crisis of Ukrainian army is increasing. It's some kind of World War One, when also it was not failure of the war, but also continued to fighting and waiting what army collapsed. And finally, German political system collapsed. That's why France and Great Britain won World War One. Now we have absolutely zero probability about collapse of Russian political system and Russian army, but increasing probability of Ukrainian army to be collapsed. So it's of course not ideal development of the war, but nevertheless, it's Russian army is step by step winning. So it's the reason. And another reason that I want to say very clearly, Putin told it many times, and I told about this. Russian goal of war is very simple. We can see that Western countries kill Ukrainian democracy, impose repressive neo-Nazi terroristic regime, and by terror, making Ukrainians anti-Russians and making Ukraine anti-Russia. They want to have relation between Russia and Ukraine as between Pakistan, India, as between Palestinians and Israel. We doesn't like this. We want to stop this. This is the reason of the war. If Western countries agree, stop political repression in Ukraine, liberate all political prisoners, and liberated all prohibited political parties, liberated all prohibited media, stop political repression against Russian language, and stop political repression against Orthodox Church, and disarmament all neo-Nazi groups, immediately Russia will stop the war. But you see signal of this? No. Western countries even don't want to discuss this real reason of the war. Why we should think that this war will be over if one side just don't want to discuss these issues?
I think Russia's probably done a fairly good job themselves of turning the people of Ukraine against them.
No. I will say a very simple example. Look, for example, Germany under the Nazis. Germans fought for Adolf Hitler, even when Adolf Hitler totally killed himself. And when, Nazi Germany almost collapsed, German soldiers continued to fight for the Germany. But, and Americans and British kill thousands or probably millions of the Germans. But nevertheless, after regime have been changed, Germans said, look, it's Adolf Hitler and Nazi responsible for everything, and Americans and British are our friends. Same was happening with Ukrainians.
Yuri, your response to that?
Well, I'm just listening to this flood of nonsense, and the only feeling that I have is that, again, it kind of proves our skepticism, because if this continues to be the predominant view inside Russia and Russian elites, then I'm afraid the peace process will be very, very problematic, because everybody understands in Ukraine, in the West, in the White House, everybody understands what exactly happened. The real cause was just an unprovoked aggression, and I don't want to repeat myself, and I don't want to start a discussion and a mudslinging match. But with the, if the position which we just heard, if that describes the predominant narrative or the view, then I think we are in for a very, very complex process, and the chances of us reaching some agreement are very, very slim.
Is your army collapsing, as Sergei said?
Well, of course not. I mean, look, I've said Russians have not achieved even one goal that they have set before themselves in 2022. They have lost huge numbers of people, military machinery, and everything else. They are under sanctions. Their economy is now struggling. The sanctions are not working as we expected and hoped for, but they are working. So, and the Ukrainian army, like, look, we've just reinforced some of the parts of the front line in the last week, and the breakthrough the Russians were hoping to achieve failed. It's just, like I said, it's a frozen front line. They are incrementally moving, and when they manage to conquer like 3 small houses in an obscure village, they trumpet about this as a major victory. But in reality, if you look at the map, and our president actually showed this map in the White House yesterday, it's very clear that it's not moving. It's frozen. Russians are failing to achieve their objectives. Ukrainian defense lines are holding. And, all we need to do is just to continue to build more weapons, to be supported by our friends in the West, and apply more pressure on Russia. Because sooner or later, in this war of attrition, if all the leverages are used against Russia, it will be forced to negotiate on just terms.
Sergei, do you have any regrets about the war itself, given where you are at now, years in, the number of people who have been injured and killed? I know you haven't made these decisions yourself, but do you regret this war?
Of course, I regret this war very much. I was suggested that Putin should send Russian troops to Ukraine in 2014, when 80% of Ukrainian army will take Russian side in those time, and it was not consolidated neo-Nazi terroristic regime. To fight against country, army of the country in the situation of political chaos much more easy than against country with consolidated neo-Nazi terroristic totalitarian regime as in Ukraine right now. So I think because Western countries deny to have any negotiation about changing of Ukrainian regime, the war was absolutely inevitable. But of course, they should be prepared much more better. And Vladimir Putin, too peaceful. He didn't want to send a Russian army in 2014. I think it was a big mistake, and he understands it very well, this mistake. And everybody says that was his mistake. And all Western leaders also, they know very well that it was Putin's mistake of 2014 and 2015.
This must be a mistake. You don't think this was a mistake?
The war against neo-Nazi anti-Russia was absolutely inevitable. It's absolutely existential war for Russia. For Western countries, neo-colonial war. They want to make Ukraine neo-colony, they want to destroy Russia as great superpower, something like this. But for Russia, it's absolutely existential war, because by using this terroristic regime, they just want to block any development of Russia, and they want to attack. It's modern style of war, proxy army, proxy regime.
Yuri, I'll give you the final word. If you could sum up how you feel now, your hope of the prospects for peace, and I guess your response to that last statement about it being an existential threat for Russia.
everything we heard is a delusion, and we as Ukraine, we want this war to end indeed, because we did indeed lose a lot of people. Our cities have suffered tremendously, but we are quietly optimistic at the moment because we're seeing that the peace process, with all its complexities, but it's ongoing. We see the engagement of the US, we see the involvement of the European countries, we see that the meaningful securities guarantees are now on the table, and we will continue to speak with our partners with a view to applying more pressure. And look, we just need to, I don't even see everything we heard, this propaganda bullshit, I don't even see it as a threat anymore, right? Because like, if before we had to debunk these myths, right now this is just a bunch of crazy people like this gentleman here, who I don't know, they're not perceived normally anywhere. Maybe in North Korea, maybe in some obscure countries who help them fight this war, but not in any civilized country. So that's not a threat. So the meaningful and pragmatic way forward is to continue to apply pressure. We will continue to inflict losses on Russian troops on the front lines. We will continue to destroy their war machinery inside Russia with our long-range capabilities, and we will continue to work with our partners diplomatically to ensure that they are brought to the table and a just peace is achieved. This is possible. I know that all our partners understand this is possible because, Russia is a large country, but it has its limits, especially economically. Right now, they're spending 42% of their GDP on military needs. That's not sustainable long term. So they probably have a couple of more months in their tank, and after that, they will start facing serious big problems. And this is why the leader of Kremlin agreed to go to Alaska, and this is why he's kind of playing along, because he wants to avoid sanctions, because he knows that Russia is in trouble, militarily, economically, diplomatically, and they're looking for a way out. But of course, they have promised so much that they will achieve. They have achieved nothing. So for them, it's very difficult to find a face-saving option. But, they're just content now with a bit of propaganda, as we've heard.
So, is Putin scared now, do you think? Is he worried?
Who worried? Who scared? I lost the point.
Putin.
Who worried?
Is Putin
So you've lost
worried?
the point a long time ago. You've lost the point in 2022, maybe in 2014. So no worry. We understand that you lost the point. Just keep well and drink some tea.
I just, I'm sorry, I cannot listen to such wave of the hatred. We need to save our.
That's me being polite and calm, by the way. I've not even started yet.
Yeah.
Gentlemen?
Avoid this gentleman. About Putin, of course, he wants to stop this war. But I want to repeat, we don't regard this war as war between Russia and Ukraine. Russian Ukrainian army, that's why, but not Russian Ukraine. It's not president of Ukraine is making decision. Ukraine does not exist as independent country. It's neo-colonial regime. First, it was neo-colonial of United States and Great Britain. Now it's neo-colonial Great Britain and European Union.
Ukraine is a sovereign nation that has every right to exist as much as Russia does. Sergei, Yuri, thank you so very much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Erin.
Now I want to bring you a conversation that I had with an incredible woman, Ayelet, who has adopted her nephew, Ariel, who lost his entire family on October 7. Mum, dad, 2 sisters and grandpa. Just a heartbreaking story, but one that will turn into one of the most inspirational examples of strength and courage that the world will have ever seen. And he will tell his story one day. But for now, we are letting him be a child, which is the most important thing. And Ayelet, his aunt, shares some of his experience.
My very dear friend, Ayelet Zohar Cohen, interviewed by Erin Molan, my other very dear friend, to share what is a truly remarkable and incredibly special story.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much again. And Kelly, thank you so much for your beautiful, beautiful words. And Ayelet, thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me and give me the opportunity to tell our story.
It's the kind of story that if it was to be pitched as a movie, they'd say, no, no one would believe it. It's too horrific. Tell me where you were when you first found out that October 7 was happening.
We were in Athens with a good friend of us for a weekend because it was a vacation, holiday vacation, and we traveled to a short vacation. And in the morning, early in the morning, we started to get message from Israel and pop-ups from the news. We understand that a catastrophe is happening in Israel, and I started to call the family. First, I call for my children that they've been alone. After that, I called my parents, and after that, I started to call Yasmin. She's my sister-in-law, and her oldest, my oldest niece, Keshet, and try to understand what's happening in the kibbutz, because I understand that all the mess is in the south, and they used to live in kibbutz Nahal Oz. My brother was a journalist, so I couldn't call him because I think that he's working, so I didn't want to disturb him. And Yasmin and Keshet talked with me until noon, and then the connection stopped. They didn't answer a message or the phone calls, and I understand very soon afternoon that something very big happened to us.
When did you realize that Ariel was alive?
At the beginning, I didn't ask about Ariel. I don't know why, because I was sure he's in the house. I was very worried about the girls because they used to have apartments in other parts in the kibbutz, but they used to be afraid to sleep there at night, to be there at night. So every night they came to the parents' house. So I asked about Keshet and Tchelet, if they are okay, if they are with Yasmin and Yaniv in the shelter, about Yasmin's father, about Yasmin's brother, because he's a adult with special needs. I worried about everybody, but I didn't ask about Ariel. I don't know why, because I understand he's at home. And when the connection stopped, we called everybody, but no one answered. And then at 6 p.m., Ariel called my oldest son, Nevo, and he told him that he's okay, that he's in another house, Ilan Fiorentino house, the chief security of the kibbutz. And we started to ask questions. Nevo called me and told me, Mom, Ariel is in another house, is not with them. And then I understand that the most difficult thing happened to us, because there's no chance that Yasmin will not call Ariel and talk with him, and Yaniv, because he was the smallest child at the house, the family, and they were very worried that he's outside, and the alarms and all the bombs from the Gaza. And I understand that if they are not talking with him, it's a big mess.
What happened to them?
After a few months, Tomer, my husband, got to the house after a few weeks, and we tried to investigate what happened there. There was no fire on the shelters outside. The house was completely okay. Nothing burned, nothing was taken from the house except, I told you, except Yaniv cameras, because he was a photographer. We understand that they opened the shelter to one of the children in the kibbutz that the Hamas took captivity, and took him house by house to take the citizens out of the shelter, and they opened the mamad.
To trick them, basically.
Yes.
When did Ariel find out what had happened to his mum, his dad, his two sisters, his grandpa?
It took a lot of hours until we took him out of the kibbutz, because no one knew that is in the Ilan Fiorentino house. So we started to do anything to take him off from the kibbutz, and to take him to my parents' house. because I was not in Israel. And at the morning when I landed, I immediately go to my parents' house, and we asked for a psychologist to come, because we didn't get a formal announcement that they were murdered. We just heard it from the kibbutz, people in the kibbutz that told us. But we understand that because there's a lot of buses that go out of the kibbutz, and we didn't find them.
You had to tell him yourself.
Yes, in Israel, when something like that happened, one of the family needs to tell. It was very, very difficult because I was in a very emotional storm by myself. I lose my family, I lose my oldest brother, and I need to tell him that since that morning, he lost everything that he knew, everything.
You were saying to me earlier that the psychologist had said to you to say each person's name.
Yes. You need to say to him each person's name, and it was very difficult for me, so I took it very, very slowly, and I saw in his eyes that he is a little bit of hope that the girls are safe. And then he asked me, also Keshet and Tchelet? And I told him, yes, also Keshet and Tchelet. Sorry.
Don't be sorry at all.
This was the difficult part.
Of course. How do you breathe, let alone talk about this right now? How do you function?
I have no choice. I see him every day in front of my eyes, and he gives me hope, and he gives me strength. He's such an optimist child. He's so brave. He's so smart. He has so much joy, and I think he saved me every day, every single day.
A lot of people would say you're saving him.
Yes, I think we save each other. It's a very big thing to put on his shoulder. I'm not telling him that, but it's a very big thing. But he saved me every day because I see other parts in the family that the grief is very, very difficult there. And I have purpose. I want him to be a child. I want him to give him hope. I want to give him a good life as possible. They try to take his childhood, but we not allow them. We are doing everything, Tomer, my husband, and my 3 amazing children, to do everything to give him a good life, everything.
Tell me about your husband. He's like a dad to him, isn't he?
Yes, he's amazing. At the beginning, it broke my heart because Yaniv, my brother, always wanted a boy, and Ariel was born when Yaniv was 40. It's pretty late. And Ariel was for Yaniv, I don't know how to tell that. It was everything for Yaniv. And when I saw the connection between him and Tomer, I couldn't believe. It's amazing. Tomer is my angel, is my rock. He's doing amazing work with him. Amazing work. I will tell you something. He came to us when he was 12 and 10 months, 2 months before his bar mitzvah. And the present that Yaniv and Yasmin make him for his bar mitzvah, he want to travel to England to see football with Yaniv. And after he came, everything was settled. They buy the tickets and everything. And after what happened to us, we asked him, all the family, who do you want to travel with you? And I thought that he is going to say you.
I mean, you kind of earned it.
And he's immediately answered, Tomer, what a question. I was a little bit disappointed for that. But they travel and they do very good time together, and it was very important for both bonding to be together.
I know your beautiful daughter that we just honored earlier. I mean, She would sometimes like to be spoiled as much as Thomas spoils Ariel. She says he's
Yes.
like a grandpa with him. She's like, he was much stricter with us.
He allows him everything, everything. He was very, very tough with the children when they've been small. They always used to tell me, "Mother, you are the butter," and he's very tough with us. So now it's the opposite. He's allowing him everything, and Ariel loves him very much, and he loves Ariel. I couldn't imagine that it will be like that.
Was it a process to adopt him or to make that decision? Was it even a discussion or was it just automatic?
It was obvious to me, and I told Tomer as we got on the plan, I know that all my family murdered, and he at the beginning he tried to ask me. He said me, "You speak nonsense. Everything will be okay. We don't have connection with them." And I told him, "No. I feel that in all my bones." And all the family screamed about me, and the phone told me, "You're crazy. Stop talking like that." Yasmin brothers and also my sister, everybody. But I understand because there's no chance that my sister-in-law don't answer me. No chance. And when we got on the plane, I told him, I know that there's a big tragedy here. And just look me in the eyes and tell me that when are we arriving to Israel, we're taking him, and he will going to raise at our house. And he immediately, he didn't think for a moment, and he told me, I'm all with you in that. That all my life I will appreciate what he does to my family. It's not obvious.
How do you still feel so grateful? You said to me earlier, we're so lucky, and this way, this way, this way, and this way. Where does that come from?
I think all the life we've been like that. And in this situation, you can crash, you can grieve until the end of the life, but we make a decision. And I think when I talk on the funeral, I promised them that I will give him a happy house. I will give him a stable ground under his legs, and I will do everything to give him hope. And I'm working on it every day, day by day. I don't have any choice. I need to give him good life, and we are. I think we are standing in that.
It's incredible. Incredible. Does he have moments where the grief is overwhelming, or is he just functioning at the moment? Do you think it will hit him all at some stage? I know we just care deeply about how he is, and I also respect his privacy and your decision-making as to what you want to share as well.
I will share, but he's a very brave child. I think that the people are growing in the kibbutz are very different from the people in the city. And I understand, I read about it a lot. Children handle grief in a different way. It's come and go always. But to take the moments, he go upstairs to his room, and after that he relax and go down. But I think what saved Ariel that day and every day is the sport. He's playing basketball.
What is he, 6 foot?
Yes.
10?
Yes,
Something like
is very big.
Super tall.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing.
Yes.
Your brother was very
Yes.
tall too.
My brother and also Yasmin family are very tall. And he's doing every day the things that he must love doing. The basketball save him every day. Every day. This is also a Tomer decision from the first moment after we finished the Shiva. He told me, Ayelet, he will do sport and he will go to school. And I just want to protect him and to be near him and not let anyone to be around him except the family and a relative, because there was a buzz around him. Everybody want to come to talk with him and to see him and to hug him and to concern him. And I just feel the will to protect him. And Tomer told me from the beginning, he need a normal life. Let him be a child. send him to school, send him to play basketball, and I think this is the right decision for him.
I have no doubt that one day he will tell his story, and it will
Yes.
be incredibly powerful and
Yes.
inspirational. But I think you have made the right decision 100%, absolutely. He wants to join the IDF, but you're saying, hell no.
Yes.
Not on my watch, no.
He fight with me all opportunity that they have to talk about that. He fight with me about that. He will go to the army, but he will return every day to the home. He's not going to be in unique and special forces. He will be. He can give his service and to do wonderful things, but in another way in the army. He's the only one that stay for me and for the whole family, and I can't give any risk that has something happen to him.
Your parents, Holocaust survivors.
My father is a Holocaust survivor. He came from Romania. He was 14, like Ariel. He lost 160 people of his family. He came to Israel with his mother and his sister after his father murdered in the Holocaust, and the uncles and cousins, everybody he knew. And when it happened to us, he told me, I thought that if I come to Israel and I have family in Israel, this is the place that protect my family, and it's happened again here. And last week, I have a conversation with him, and I told him, how can you still talk about Israel, such good things? And he said, this is my homeland. I don't have another place on earth. This is my homeland. He thinks different than us.
There's a photo at the funeral of your family with Ariel sitting there in the middle. You couldn't even enjoy that. Not that you would enjoy it, that's the wrong word. You couldn't be in that moment in peace.
Yes.
You had to go under for sirens,
Yes.
under tables. There's an image of Ariel's face that I think should haunt people forever. What was that experience like, having to
It was
bury?
horrifying. Because it took something like 12 days until we recognize them, and we can bury them. It was very, very difficult because there in the funeral, I think 3 or 4 alarms. It was very, very difficult day, very difficult day. But it's after this day we have a relief because we have graves and other families doesn't have graves. And I told my mother, you have place to go to. There's families that, I know a few families that their relatives are still in Gaza.
It's fascinating to me that you say that. You're grateful for graves. It's astounding.
It's sad, but there's a place that we can come to them and talk with them and cry there. But there's a place, and there's a place that belongs to the family. And for Ariel, that he, in the future, you know, that they are there.
Have you become closer to your God, or maybe not so much?
Before the October 7, we were in good relationship. And after October 7, we are not talking. Yes. I'm angry. I'm very, very angry. And other parts in the family thinks in other ways, but I'm very angry because they were such a good people. They've been the beautiful Israeli, really. The people in the kibbutz are the most powerful people in Israel.
It's really beautifully put. It's beautiful. When I went to visit the kibbutz, I met so many incredible people, and I would stop and say hello and ask them, you know, there was a lady watering the flowers outside one, and I said, oh, is this your place? And she said, no, I don't know who lives here. I just want to make sure that if they're in Gaza when they come home, their flowers will be alive. And then I went to another spot where a whole bunch of people were rebuilding and trying to help. And I said, oh, is this your place? They said, oh, no, we don't know anyone here. We're just here to help. I feel like there's this spirit when it comes to Israel and Jews all around the world that is incomparable. Yes. I've never seen anything like it. You should all be in the fetal position in the corner, given what you've gone through. But instead, all I feel is love. I feel sadness, but love and hope and this desire for peace, not for revenge, just for peace.
Yes. We feel that. We sit Shiva almost 3 weeks until we recognize them, and we saw the beautiful Am Israel. They came all over to us. Also Christians, also Arabs, Israeli Arabs. It was amazing. After that, I've got calls all over the world. All over the world. I don't think there's a Jewish community that they didn't call me. All over the world. And the Israeli unity, I think this is the best spirit ever. Because we feel that. We feel the compassion. We feel the love. We feel the care. And it's giving us a lot of power and a lot of hope.
My last question, and I could talk to you for hours and hours. Can you start to heal whilst there is still hostages in Gaza, whilst the war continues on? When can you as a family start to heal, or has that started?
I don't think that we ever heal. I think that we learn to live beside that, beside the pain. The pain is huge because it's 3 generations. But I think just after the war will end, we started to understand what happened to us because we were waiting for our brother to come home. We waiting for the family to have graves, to do a funeral for the soldiers that in Gaza, and for the all beautiful young people from the kibbutzes and from the Nova Party to come back home. And I think just then Israel will start to happen what Holocaust we got through.
You're amazing.
Thank you very much.
You're incredible.
Thank you
Ladies
very
and
much.
gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you for everything that you do for us. Thank you.
Okay. Now, before we get into fan feedback, I wanted to give you another little taste of something that I'm into. This is Erin's pick. Have a look. Mark Levin's brand new book. I've just finished reading On Power by Mark Levin. Utterly brilliant. This is a book for this moment. He is one of the greatest voices of our time. Those who watch me regularly, who listen, know that I think incredibly highly of him. I think he's one of the most engaging hosts. The way he presents is so unconventional but so effective. He's unrivaled in his ability to break down really complex issues and make them palatable, make them so easy to understand. He's a voice of reason. Now, on the off chance that he shares this video, I would say to his much larger audience that I, Erin Molan, of the Erin Molan Show, am essentially a mini him. A slightly younger, slightly more feminine, slightly more attractive, dependent on what you're into, but slightly less well-read, absolutely, less experienced, definitely, less rich, without any doubt whatsoever. But if you like Mark, then you should follow my show on YouTube or podcast, and Mark will be on it next week. The Erin Molan Show. I mean, it's a plug for his book. Of course it is. It's all about his book, which is brilliant. Buy it, read it, live it, love it. And now, because it's been such a long episode, I'm only going to bring you one bit of fan feedback. Just one. Because I am conscious of your time. It is very valuable. My time also, semi-valuable. It comes to you from Raymond Tango. And he says, regarding me, it's like going into a gentleman's club, and of the 8 prostitutes on offer, you'd be the last pick. And on that note, why would I care? Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend and the next few days. And I can't wait to see you all 6 a.m. ET on Monday, or whatever that calculates to, wherever you are around the world. Thanks for joining us. Take care.